Hey, it's Trey Benson with the Arizona Cardinals, and you listen to Fantasy Football Counselor.
Right here, demons all around, but I ain't got
no. Welcome to the show, guys. Happy Monday. Got an exciting one here for you. I've got the latest news and notes. You know, the regular show, typical routine here, and also going to be doing a mock draft for the first 4 rounds, drafting from the 12th position. Now, some people say, well, Joe, how come you're only doing 4 rounds? Well, because what I do is actually give you real advice in every round that I do. Everyone else is doing simulation mock drafts. They're doing the whole thing, but they're doing it wrong. So why would I give away all my secrets when I know the answers, when I know how to win leagues? I reveal that to people that actually want to win their leagues, all right? Because I get a lot of trolls on here, a lot of dedicated people as well, and I appreciate all you guys, but I got to make a living. I'm not with a 4-letter network. This is how I make my living. 16 rounds is where you get the real answers for the full mock draft. Not to say that this is not going to give you a ton of value, because I'm going to give you 4 rounds, but those are concrete 4 rounds from the 12th position. So, guys, this is gold. Get a pen and paper out. Take some notes. I did the last one recently, drafting from the first pick, and some people like saying, well, Joe, why is it taking you, and there was a bunch of trolls anyway, why is it taking so long to make a pick? It's not about just making a pick. It's about understanding why I made that pick and also other players to avoid. Now, last year, a perfect example. Everyone said, you're crazy. Why wouldn't I draft Tony Pollard round 1? Why wouldn't I draft him? Or why wouldn't I draft Austin Eckler, 4th overall or 2nd overall, whatever he was coming off? And they thought I was crazy. But I was doing the same type of simulations and explaining why. So you got to be listening so you don't end up with this year's Austin Eckler or Tony Pollard in round 1, or last year's T. Higgins round 2, or Mike, what was the other guy? Mike Williams round 4 or 5, or J.K. Dobbins round 4. You don't want to do that. So this is why I do these, guys. It's in-depth fantasy football advice and draft strategy, right? Before we get into this, guys, make sure you guys grab that 16-round draft solution. This is the answer right here below. Sleepers, breakouts, auto players draft each round. Once you get it, you're going to get an email with a login. You log in, you get access to my videos, all my sleepers, mock drafts, principal cheat sheet, everything you guys need. I'm doing an August mock draft very shortly, going through all the rounds, talking about all the sleepers. Okay, guys, everything is laid out in 16 rounds. Grab the solution, smash it. Smash your leagues, all right, guys? Also, hit the thumbs up, smash it, tap it, slap it. I'm excited to dive in, guys, into this. There's a t-shirt for this as well. The smash it, tap it shirts are below. Guys, let's get ready for the season. Fantasy football is back. Now, we are going to be talking a little bit about the breaking news here. Breaking Brad, where are you?
We now have breaking news.
Couple things that I think are definitely worth talking about. JJ McCarthy, apparently what I'm hearing, is a long shot to be the starter at the beginning of the season. So that's really interesting to hear that, considering we're going to be talking about a mock draft here that literally, guys, you're going to have Justin Jefferson coming off the top 5 pick. So, dude, I'm not sold. You guys can go ahead and draft Jefferson first overall. I highly advise against it simply because I don't like Sam Darnold. I don't know what to tell you. I'm just not a Sam Darnold advocate. I don't know if you guys are, but that enough to me is a turnoff. That's enough of a red flag to say, hey, man, like, I'm going to draft somebody else. So, JJ McCarthy, a long shot to start. And who knows how he would do even if he was a starter. So I'm out on that. That's a hard pass for me for Justin Jefferson, okay? What else was here? Lamar Jackson was sent home from practice due to illness on the 21st, yesterday. Okay, so he was ill. All right, just wanted to make a note of that. Hopefully he's okay. Dallas Cowboys are expected to prioritize negotiations with CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, on contract extension over talks with Dak Prescott on long-term deal because of Lamb's intentions to hold out from training camp. So from what I'm getting here, okay, it's like CeeDee Lamb is like the squeaky wheel. It's like, pay me, I'm going to hold out. Okay, we got to take care of CeeDee Lamb. Mind you, they have to because they have no other wide receiver option, so they kind of have to take care of the situation at hand. But it's weird. Like, you think that somebody that whines, right, and says, oh, you've got to pay me. If you don't pay me, I'm holding out. Okay, too bad. You're going to keep holding out then because I'm not going to pay you. Like, oh, instead they're like, okay, yeah, we better address this guy, man, because he's going to hold out. We don't want, like, it's just the drama, man. It's ridiculous. Like, why not just pay him? Like, he's your only wide receiver, you know? I don't like the way things are done in Dallas at all. I mean, these guys don't have a running back. They just don't. And now you're basically, debating on paying your top wide receiver. It's crazy, man. I don't like Dallas at all, man. Just pay the guy. And I don't know why he's whining either. Like, I'm going to hold out. It's crazy. This is interesting. Sleeper alert here. Where's Breaking Brad?
We now have breaking news.
This is big. Apparently, guys, Audric Estime, who I ended up drafting right now in the fishbowl. I'm in a fishbowl here in a league. He's one of my bench guys. Audric Estime, they call him Estime. I call him Audric Estime. It should be pronounced Audric Estime, like Time. Anyway, is making the team and could push for the starting job with a strong showing in training camp. I mean, who else they got there? Running backs that have had years to wow me, and I'm not wowed. If you're a Javonte guy, I'm not a Javonte guy. I'm passing on Javonte. I have no stock in Javonte. Audric Estime is the guy. And the Estime, okay? Audric Estime. Very, very interesting here. And there's also talk about Javonte Williams and Samaje Perine for running back spot roster. They're fighting for a spot roster. Rashid Shaheed, more news here. The guy that's coming to our summit, super nice guy. He's going to be at the Fantasy Sports Summit August 21st. If you haven't got your tickets, grab them below. Just signed a couple days ago, 1-year contract extension with $5.2 million. Great. Congratulations for Rashid Shaheed, who's coming to his show. He's going to be on the show as well in about a week or so. Super excited about that. But excited for Rashid Shaheed. Also excited for all the guys that I drafted and all the guys that are coming to the Fantasy Sports Summit. If you guys haven't checked out the Trey Benson episode, go back and check that out. And we got Kyren Williams coming on the show this week. Kyren Williams on the show. It's going to be exciting, guys. And that is your latest news from
We now have breaking news.
From Breaking Brad. There you go. All right, let's go into this mock draft here. Let's get to it. We're going to be drafting from the 12th position. It's a simulation, so I'm going to give you guys a lot of advice here. If you're in the car, chill. We're going to be hanging out here, and I'm going to give you guys my reasoning on my picks here. So what's happening here at the 12th pick? Now, Christian McCaffrey, CeeDee Lamb is in this simulation. Breece Hall, Jamar Chase, Tyreek, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra, Bai-Jan, Jahmyr Gibbs, A.J. Brown, and Puka off the board. This is pretty standard. I've done reality drafts. I've done super flexes. These guys are coming off early. And I always see Breece and Bai-Jan. Breece always comes off early, and Bai-Jan, if you're lucky, he makes it to 8 in his simulation. He made it to 8 here, okay? Very unlikely he makes it to 8. He did actually in one of the leagues I ended up drafting back in June. I'm very fortunate about that. I ended up getting him. So, dude, I love Bai-Jan this year. I love the opportunity, okay? Now, so what do you do on this turn? 1.2, 2.1. What I did is I actually ended up doing a draft the other day, okay? $350 buy-in league. And I drafted from the, I think it was a 12th. Was it 12th? Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, 12th position. And I wanted to try the 0 RB. And after I was done, I was like, it didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel comfortable because there's a lot of running backs I like. Sleepers, Audric Estime, one of the guys I just mentioned, Trey Benson. There's a ton of guys that could be absolutely top 10 potential. Not Audric Estime, not necessarily, but I'm just saying Trey Benson easily could be a top 10 finisher in fantasy points 2024. But you're just not sure. So you want to make sure that you get the running backs. All these guys, like I was listening to a show, I won't say which show, but listen, like this guy was talking about how he drafted. It's a super flex league. He went like 5 wide receivers, got a quarterback or 2. And then his best running back was Raheem Mostert. And his reasoning was like, oh, well, they're saying that he might still be the starter, which is very viable. Okay, if he's the starter, why do all the Chiefs have Devin Achane as a top guy? I'm avoiding this whole committee, by the way, when it comes to the Dolphins. But I look at the situation here again, and look at some of these other guys, what they're doing. They're going 0 RB. You are really, really putting yourself at risk. You want to load up on the running backs. In that fishbowl that I'm in with all the industry experts, right? I ended up going robust RB. And it's like one of those drafts where it swings back. It's like snake draft, but then it swings back. So if you're in the 12th pick, you come back and you get the first pick in the 3rd round. So it kind of swings back, right? Does that make sense, guys? So you're here, and instead of going this way where, this guy gets a 301, it swings back to kind of give you a different dynamic. So I ended up going Bai-Jan, Saquon, and Jahmyr Gibbs with my first 3 picks. And dude, there's wide receivers for days after that. So anyway, I just want to give you a little bit of insight there. So let's get back to the simulator. What are we doing here on the 12, 1.12 and the 2.01? Couple ways you can play this. If you want to go wide receiver here, Marvin Harrison, I think, is a great choice. But when you look at him, he could be overpriced because you get guys that can outperform him. Guys like, let's say, Keon Coleman or Ladd McConkey or other guys could outperform him, and you can get them later. But now you're investing this, second round, early first round, second round pick on Harrison. It is really risky, right? But running back here, I mean, it's a clear stack from here. Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry seems like they jump out. Now, I will tell you, and once you guys listen to the interview that I just had with Kyren Williams, you're going to want to draft Kyren Williams. I'm telling you, this guy is hungry. He does not feel like a regression's coming. He, knock on wood, feels very healthy, super nice guy. Based on that conversation, I'm tempted to go Saquon Barkley here and Kyren Williams. Like, based on once you guys, again, turn on the bell, because this episode is coming this week. I'm tempted to go Kyren Williams here, just based on that conversation. Dude, the guy, oh man, he's awesome. And again, Blake Corum was a bit of a turnoff for me when he came on. I was like, I'm a little turned off Kyren Williams a little bit. But after that conversation, man, does he seem confident. I cannot express to you how confident Kyren Williams felt. I cannot wait. It's gonna be a top 10 running back episode. You gotta tune in. Kyren's gonna be on the show this week. Oh man. So I'm tempted to take him here after that conversation, but based on assuming that conversation didn't happen, again, you can go wide receiver. Garrett Wilson's going to be super safe. Tons of targets, 160 targets this year. I see that happening. I'm not really sold on Adams as much simply because of quarterbacks there. Olave, I don't see a high ceiling. I think Drake London is going to have a great year. I love Drake London here. So again, it's up to you guys to make the decision. There's a couple ways you can play it. You can go back-to-back robust RB here and go Saquon Henry here. Taylor could be safe as well, but again, Anthony Richardson, not sure what's going to happen with him vulturing a ton of rushing touchdowns. There's so many question marks here on this turn. There's a couple ways to play it. Again, you could go Saquon Garrett Saquon, right? You can go Saquon Marvin, you can go Saquon Drake London, or you can go, Saquon Derrick Henry, Saquon Kyren, whatever you feel, but those are some options there, whatever your risk tolerance is and what you want to feel comfortable with. Because I tell you right now, if you go 0 RB and you get Garrett and Marvin Harrison, which is a great stack, there's nothing wrong with that. You're gonna be slim at running back. So let's get a wide receiver here. I was gonna go. Can I undo? If I undo, okay, I can undo. So let's just show you what that looks like. If we go Garrett Wilson. And I'm going to go ahead and go Marvin, but I will tell you, I would rather have the running back stack in like a Saquon and a Kyren, or a Saquon and a Derrick Henry or something like that. But let's go ahead here and go Garrett Wilson and Marvin Harrison and kind of see how this populates here, just to kind of give you an idea. So first round looks like this, guys. Christian McCaffrey, CeeDee Lamb, Breece Hall, Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra, Byjan, Jahmyr Gibbs, AJ Rampuka, and Garrett Wilson. We came around, did the 0 RB. Again, I don't want to recommend this. Again, you're going to see how this plays out. Let's go. And then we went Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison, then round 2, Saquon, Drake, Taylor, Olave, Nico, Adams, Ayuk, Pittman, Achane, Debo, and James Cook. Again, James Cook is going to fall typically to 3 to 4. Again, this is just a simulation. Understand there's some variances in between the round, give or take a round, okay? But again, guys like James Cook, I think, are going to be a major bust. Debo Samuel is going to be a bust. I mean, if Ayuk gets shipped off, there's a little more upside there. I saw Ayuk and Debo come off in my 2K buy-in league, round 3 back-to-back. This was back in June. Nico, very expensive here, round 2. Again, a lot of guys here I just don't feel warm and fuzzy about at all. Anyway, Josh Allen to start round 3, Travis Kelce, Mixon, Etienne, Hurts, Waddle. Again, why would you draft a wide receiver 2 in the 3rd round? It's crazy. Kyren Williams, Mike Evans, Derrick Henry, there he goes. Sam Laporta, Malik Neighbors, who I like. I like Malik Neighbors. So we're on the clock. Now, I will tell you this. This is what's happening in all my drafts, all right? I want to be very clear what's happening here, okay? I don't like any of these wide receivers on this turn. I don't like DJ Moore. He's in a 3-headed monster situation where we don't know who the wide receiver 1 is. DK Metcalf, same type of thing. JSN does take a step up this year. I really believe that. Cooper Kupp, I mean, who knows? who the one is there. Stephon Diggs, Amari Cooper, Zay Flowers. Again, Christian Kirk. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is the one. And you can get him way later. Where's Thomas Jr.? Brian Thomas. There he is. Okay, way down here. He's the one. I'm not sold at all to any degree that Kirk is the one. How do I know that? Well, very simple. Calvin Ridley came in, he took a back seat. If you were the male alpha in this group, they're all males, hopefully. If you're the alpha in this group, you are definitely going to outdo Calvin Ridley. And he didn't. So I don't see any reason why he's the one. It's ridiculous. He's never been a one. He's not a one. So what do we do here? Very simple, guys. You definitely don't fall into the trap of drafting these guys that are like Devontae Smith. He's a 2. And this is the same conversation I had with everybody last year, telling everybody, guys, don't do it. Don't get T. Higgins round 2. Guys, he is the 2 on his team and he blessed it. Don't draft Pollard round 1. He's just not a good running back. Okay? So you got to see things before they happen. So we take a look at running back. And I told you, if I didn't go all those running backs that I liked earlier, your Bijan who goes early, maybe a Jahmyr Gibbs might fall here. He's a good option. Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon stack wouldn't be too shabby here. Not too bad at all. Or even a Derrick Henry in here. Because once, Bijan is gone and Jahmyr and Barkley and Henry and Kyron and McCaffrey and Breece, right? It's like, okay, now what? All right, let's take a look at who's available. Pacheco could be safe. There's nothing wrong with Pacheco. I like more the explosive workhorse backs that are going to get a ton of volume. He's going to be safe. I just don't trust him in an offense that distributes the ball and disperses it everywhere, okay? Rachaad White, very safe, very boring, not my kind of running back. Again, you know me, I like the Bijans, I like the Gibbs, I like the Saquons of the world. I like the beasts. I like the explosiveness. That's why I'm looking at Trey Benson later, for example, right? So what do you do here? And again, James Conner, way too overpriced in draft capital. Okay, way too expensive because Trey's going to be the one for sure. So, and if you haven't listened to the Trey episode, go back. Trey Benson was on the show, Arizona Cardinals starting running back. So now you're in like the situation where like, what do I do? Now, I really like Zamir White, but I feel like I'm reaching here. He could fall coming back, to 5, but there's a chance I lose, but he probably comes back. Wide receiver, we already have wide receivers. And even if we wanted wide receivers, we don't care for Moore. We don't care for Metcalf. We don't care for Kupp. We don't care for Smith. I'd rather have Keon Coleman down here later than any one of these guys. Take a glance at tight end. I'm not a believer of Trey McBride, especially with Harrison there. He's going to be the man. Mark Andrews, I don't trust him. Dalton Kincaid, I believe at Coleman. Evan Ingram could be safe, but not in the 3rd round, right? This is where you can make an executive decision to draft a quarterback. And I would have loved to have a Josh Allen or a Jalen Hurts, but they didn't fall. By anchoring your team with a rushing upside quarterback, let's say a Mahomes, that way you've got your quarterback. Now there's other guys that are going to have great years. Guys like Jaden Daniels has some upside, right? There's other guys you get later, but you get your sure thing, right? I'm comfortable. If Laporta was here in 2, that's another option, by the way. I missed on him round 2. If you have your option to take an ace quarterback, and there's a ton of, like I said, Goff is efficient. There's other guys that I recommend in 16 rounds that are going to be efficient. But if you really want a quarterback that's got that rushing upside, or even a quarterback that's in a great situation, that's going to anchor your team, and you're going to feel warm and fuzzies all year, then you got to do it now. And you're doing it, you're kind of getting that quarterback out of the way. And while everybody else is playing wide receiver roulette. Do you feel me here? So I'd be comfortable going Mahomes or CJ Stroud here. Let's go Mahomes, okay? So now we got back-to-back picks. And I said I'd go 4 rounds, okay? So what do we do here with this 4th pick? This is where it gets a little bit dicey. Take a quick glance. We got our quarterback. Mahomes, we're safe. Quick glance at running back. I don't like these running backs. I feel Zamir White might come back. I take a quick glance at wide receiver. I don't really like some of these wide receivers. So the point of this, and I want you to take a quick glance at this, okay? You got Devontae Smith, Cooper Kupp, Metcalf, DJ Moore. I don't like any of these guys. The reason I went 0 RB was to show you how frustrating it gets at that 4th pick, okay? I don't typically draft like this, okay? let's go back. Let's go back real quick. I'm going to do a quick undo here. We're going to undo this pick. We're going to just go here just for playing around here. We're going to go Saquon Barkley and we're going to go Kyren Williams. Okay. It's going to let us populate. Now let's see how this plays out. Now let's see how it looks when we get to that third pick. Now, mind you, I don't think the wide receivers are going to be there, but check this out. I can still get my quarterback in Pat Mahomes. Now we need a wide receiver. You're still in the same situation, but you've got some options here. Let me show you what the options are. I do like Malik Nabers here. I really like Malik Nabers. And this way, I've still got the two running backs that I want. I feel a little warm and fuzzy at running back, right? I've got my ace quarterback, and then I go a guy that's upside on top of his depth chart, ultra talented in Malik Nabers at 4, and I've solved it a lot easier. Or there was Calvin Ridley there. There was a couple other options I could have gone. Calvin Ridley, not so, hard to trust him too. And then let's just see if Zamir fell, and he did not. So that's another option as well. Yeah, you're gonna probably miss out on a guy like Zamir White on this turn. Did he come off there? Zamir, or did he not? Oh, he's still there. So I can go Zamir round 5 for an example. Okay. So what I do, I made it so that I took care. There's not a lot of running backs that I like. I do like Zamir and a couple other guys, mind you. It's just that it really gets dicey if I don't have my true running backs, then you'd be starting with like a Zamir White as your RB1, who again, I love Zamir White. There's nothing wrong with him and Trey Benson. I love those guys, but I would feel a little warm and fuzzy if I went top heavy on the workhorse running backs and then risked it a little more with the wide receiver. Stick with me here. Listen to this. When you're looking at wide receiver, you're saying, well, Joe, Keon Coleman, Lad McConkey, it's a bit of a risk. But I would rather take those risks after round 6, 7, 8, 9, right? Instead of doing that, with like your Nico Collins, your DK Metcalfs, your Keenan Allens, your DJ Moores, and that whole cluster, in rounds 2 to 5. So again, going back to this, it's very, very important to understand that you want to go top heavy running back, or at least mix it up. Don't just go wide receiver. At least go Saquon and then get yourself Harrison or get yourself Drake London or so. Let's go Drake London, for example. And that way you've got the wide receiver and running back one on their team and you're a little more balanced, before you get into that cluster situation, okay? And once you get your quarterback out of the way, you're getting your ace running quarterback, massive upside, top 5, almost guaranteed top 5 finisher, while other people are playing wide receiver roulette. Does that make sense, guys? So that's the first 4 rounds. Again, however you want to play it, whether you want to go Saquon Kyren, Saquon Henry, Saquon Garrett Wilson, Jahmyr Gibbs. There's different combinations you can mix and match there, but make sure that you are always, this is very important. This is the takeaway for today, guys. When you're talking fantasy football draft advice, you always want to aim high in the depth chart. Again, I'm going to keep using this as an example. T. Higgins round 2 last year. Why would you spend a second round pick knowing full well that is the wide receiver 2 on his team? It's just pure stupidity. Yet this continues to happen. So if you guys want to win your leagues, guys, I encourage you guys, grab the 60-round draft solution. You'll never look at drafting the same. It's going to put you light years ahead of the consensus sheepsist, guys. Everyone's just out here doing mock drafts. Just simply, hey, let's just go with the next guy in ADP, or let's go 0 RB, or let's go robust RB. Guys, there's a strategy. There's a full strategy on it, and I laid out in 60 rounds. All right, guys? If you are new to the channel, smash it, tap it, slap it. Hopefully this makes a lot of sense to you guys. And again, big episodes coming this week. Kyren Williams on the show. Turn on the bell. And if you haven't listened to Trey Benson interview, it's in the last show. I did a couple episodes ago. Go back and listen to Trey on the show. Great guy. And join us at the summit where you actually have a chance to ask these guys questions on the live podcast. Okay? Fantasy Sports Summit. Grab your tickets below. I appreciate you. I appreciate it, guys. Smash it, tap it, slap it. We'll talk soon. Happy Monday. Fantasy football is back. I'll keep the content rolling for you guys. Guys, hopefully this makes sense to you guys. Think strategy, aim high on the depth chart. And again, you don't want to get into that little mix of like cluster mess in rounds 2 to 5. Think smart, think ahead of everybody else. Lion mentality. We'll talk soon, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.